英伟达执行长黄仁勋和 Stripe 的联合创始人 Patrick 艾里森，在今年5月份的一个对话节目中讨论了英伟达的管理哲学。其中，黄仁勋分享了很多他的工作理念和对年轻人的忠告。黄仁勋认为，最好的工作并不是那些一直能够带来快乐的模式。毕竟伟大的事情并不容易做到，所以努力去做困难的事情会更有意义。今天我们一起来看看他给年轻人带来了哪些忠告。
So I want to start out talking a little bit about a remark you made at a Stanford event recently. You're speaking of GSB, I think, and you said, "I wish upon you ample doses of pain and suffering." Elaborate.
Well, let's see. There is a misunderstanding. There's a phrase that said you should choose your career based on your passion. And usually people connect passion with happiness. And I think there's something missing in that. Nothing there is wrong, but there's something missing. And the reason for that is because And so the thing is, when you want to build something great, it's not easy to do. And when you're doing something that's not easy to do, you're not always enjoying it. I don't love every day of my job. I don't think every day brings me joy, nor does joy have to be the definition of a good day. And every day I'm not happy. Every year I'm not happy about the company. But I love the company every single second. And so I think that what people misunderstand is somehow the best jobs are the one that brings you happiness all the time. I don't think that that's right. You have to suffer, you have to struggle, you have to endeavor, you have to do those hard things and work through it in order to really appreciate what you've done. And there are no such thing that are great that was easy to do. And so by definition, I would say, therefore, I wish upon you greatness, which by my way of saying it, I wish upon you plenty of pain and suffering. And so,
anything in your upbringing that taught you that idea, or is it just somehow innate to your makeup?
I was an immigrant, and when I came in 1973, I was 9. My older brother was almost 11, and this was a foreign country, and there was nothing easy about that. And we also grew up in a really terrific parents, but we weren't wealthy, and so they worked hard. They work hard today, and so they passed along a lot of life lessons about working hard. Now I had all kinds of jobs, and we went to a school that included a lot of chores.
Is it in Kentucky?
Yeah, Kentucky, Oneida Baptist Institute, and I don't think it's the same as MIT. That I is not the same. It's the same word, but it's different. It's a different type of institute. But my institute required you to go to school, and it was a dormitory, and so there were a lot of chores. I was the youngest kid in school. And so all of the other kids got the hard work. They had to work in the tobacco farm. And I got the easy job. I was 9 years old. And so after they left, I had to clean all the bathrooms. I never felt that I got the easy job, because what they left behind was, you can't unsee that kind of stuff. But that was my job, and that was my job. And so I did it delightfully, and then I had plenty of other jobs, and Denny's was one of them, and I started out as a dishwasher and became a busboy and became a waiter, and I loved every one of them. I loved every one of them. Somehow, I've always found, I want to say joy, but that's not quite right. I just everything that I was doing, I wanted to do the best I could, and maybe that was kind of ingrained from the very beginning. But I was definitely the best bathroom cleaner the world's ever seen. I'm sure of it. Yeah.
And so I rarely find myself having to stand up for conventional wisdom, but if I was to kind of steel man the other side, I'd say, well, one-on-ones are where you provide coaching, where you maybe talk through goals together, personal goals, career advancement, what have you, where maybe you give feedback on something that you see somebody systematically not doing so well, and so forth. So anyway, there's all these things that kind of one is, again, conventionally supposed to do in the one-on-one. Do you not do those things, or do you do them in a different way?
Really good question. I do it right there. I do it right there. I give you feedback right there in front of everybody. And in fact, this is really a big deal. First of all, feedback is learning. Feedback is learning. For what reason are you the only person who should learn this? Now, you created the conditions because of some mistake that you made or silliness that you brought upon yourself. We should all learn from that opportunity. So you created the conditions, but we should all learn from it. Does that make sense? And so for me to explain to you why that doesn't make sense or how I differ from it, half the time I'm not right, but for me to reason through it in front of everybody helps everybody learn how to reason through it. And so the issue, the problem I have with one-on-ones and taking feedback aside is you deprive a whole bunch of people that same learning. Learning from mistakes, other people's mistakes, is the best way to learn. Why learn from your own mistakes? Why learn from your own embarrassment? You gotta learn from other people's embarrassment. That's why we have case studies, and isn't that right? We're trying to read from other people's disasters, other people's tragedies. Nothing makes us happier than that.
Have you succeeded in getting other leaders at Nvidia to adopt this practice, or is that difficult?
I give people the opportunity to decide for themselves, but I really discourage one-on-ones. I really discourage one-on-ones. Nothing is worse than the idea that somebody says, "Oh, Jensen wants us to do this." Why does that have to be said to anybody? Everybody should know. And so, or somebody said, that E-staff said that. Nothing drives me nuttier than that.
You once told me that you really didn't like firing people and very seldom did it. Can you elaborate on that?
Well, I'd rather improve you than give up on you. When you fire somebody, you're kind of saying, well, a lot of people say, well, it wasn't your fault, or I made the wrong choice, or there are very few jobs. Look, I used to clean bathrooms, and now I'm the CEO of a company. I think you can learn it. I'm pretty certain you can learn this. And there are a lot of things in life that I believe you can learn, and you just have to be given the opportunity to learn it. I had the benefit of watching a lot of smart people do a lot of things. I'm surrounded by 60 people. They're doing smart things all the time, and they probably don't realize it, but I'm learning constantly from every single one of them. And so I don't like giving up on people because I think they could improve. And so it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but people know that I'd rather torture them into greatness.
That was the phrase that I was hoping to uncover. Yeah, I remember you mentioned that.
Yeah, so I'd rather torture you into greatness because I believe in you. And I think coaches that really believe in their team torture them into greatness. And oftentimes they're so close. Don't give up. They're so close. Greatness it comes all of a sudden one day. It's like, I got it. Do you know what I'm saying? That feeling that you didn't get it yesterday, and all of a sudden one day something clicked. Oh, got it. Could you imagine you gave up just that moment right before you got it? So I don't want you to give up on that. So let's just keep torturing you.
你又是如何看待学习、工作、创业过程中的上司、同事给你的磨难？正如黄仁勋所说，那可能是帮助你成长强大、促使你成功的磨刀石。只要忍受那么一刻，就成功了。你是否愿意多忍受1分钟呢？
You used a phrase once, $0 billion markets, that $0 billion markets are your favorite markets.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
If you take a step back, our purpose, almost all of our purposes, should be to go and do something that has never been done before, that is insanely hard to do, that if you achieve it, could make a real contribution. I know your company does that. I try to do that. And if that's the case, it hasn't been done before, it's incredibly hard to do. It's probably, and it's never been done before, that market is probably $0 billion in size because it has never been done before. I'd rather be a market maker, market creator, than a market taker. You know, to create something new that never existed before versus thinking about share. I don't love thinking about share. I don't like the concept of share. And the reason for that is because if you think about it in the big picture, Stripe existed out of thin air. You vaporized, you created something out of vapor. It wasn't as if there was another, you know, something else. And so I'd like to think that we can come up with something that is $0 billion. And a $0 billion market is a good way to cause the company to think about, you know, how to go create something for the first time.
So our mission is to grow the GDP of the internet, and I mean, the GDP of the internet kind of clause in that usually gets most of the attention, but I think the most important part is just the verb grow. Yeah. Because to your point, we shouldn't be thinking about, well, you know, which are the transactions that are already happening or which are the businesses that already exist. We should be thinking about which are the transactions that don't exist and which are the businesses that don't exist.
Exactly.
You know, the GDP of the world is, you know, around $100 trillion, but it doesn't have to be $100 trillion. It could be $200 trillion or $1,000 trillion.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. And most of the value we're going to create over the next several decades are likely not limited by physical things, you know. And so this is a pretty extraordinary time.
And so with this concept of $0 billion markets, if I'm, again, at Nvidia, am I coming to you with some proposal for some project, and maybe there's several $1 billion of CapEx involved, or, you know, it's a many-year pursuit or something, and there are no customers for it today, there's no demand that I can demonstrate for it, and you guys are just making a gut call to say that, yes, nobody's doing this today, we think they could, we think they should, and therefore we're going to pursue it.
Really close, yeah. It's kind of like that. And it's a gut call in the sense that your intuition says something as a starting thesis. But then you have to reason through it. And the reasoning of it is much, much more important to me than a spreadsheet. I hate spreadsheets because you can make spreadsheets do whatever you want. You can make any chart you want out of a spreadsheet. You just got to type in some numbers. And so I don't love spreadsheets for that reason. I love words for that reason. The words are reasoning. Tell me, how did you reason through this? You know, what's our intuition? Why do we believe that matters? Why do we think it's hard? I like hard things because it takes a long time to do. And if it takes a long time to do, a lot of people who are, you know, less committed probably won't do it. If it's really, really hard to do, it takes a long time to do. It takes a really resilient and a really dedicated, really committed person to go after it.
Nvidia has a market cap of roughly $2 trillion, and you're now within spitting distance of Apple and Microsoft, and I just checked, and they have 220,000 and 160,000 employees, respectively. Nvidia has 28,000 employees, so you know, less than a fifth of the smaller of the two there. And then you just said when we were chatting backstage, and I jotted this down, you can achieve operational excellence through process, but craft can only be achieved with tenure. And so Nvidia is considerably smaller than any of the other giants, and you seem to think that tenure really matters, and I guess that craft really matters. Do you want to say a little bit more there?
I think extraordinary things. I think a lot of good things could be made. Good things are made with operational excellence. But you can't make extraordinary things through just operational excellence. And the reason for that is because a lot of the great things in your body of work and the products that you make, the company you created, the organizations you've nurtured, it takes loving care. And you can't even put it in words. How do you put loving care in an email? You know, and for people to go, oh, I know exactly what to do. You can't put that you can't put that in a business process. Loving care. And
is love and care kind of an Nvidia catchphrase?
Well, I use love fairly abundantly, and care I use abundantly.
At Stripe, we talk a lot about craft and beauty.
Yeah, right. You have to use these words because that, in a lot of ways, there are no other words to describe it. You can't put in numbers. You can't write it in the product specification. The product specification says, I want you to build something great, that's incredibly beautiful, that's in great craft. You can't specify these things. And when you have a team that's with you, that feels the way they're together, in a lot of ways, we've codified, we've encoded the magic of the company in a way that no words can describe. And you don't want to lose that. You don't want to lose that. You want to take that and take it to the next level next time. And so I don't want to reset. I don't like working with new people for that reason. Because I've encoded, I've embodied, I've deposited so much pain, suffering, joy, knowledge, right? All that experience, life experience, you've encoded it in all the people that you've worked with. You want to carry it on. You want to take it to the next level. And that's really the reason why I really deeply believe in tenure. Because of that, small teams could do great things. And Nvidia is kind of a small team. We're 28,000 people. People think we punch well above our weight because of that reason, you know? And so it's amazing what you guys have done and how incredibly small you are, 7,000 people supporting $1 trillion worth of ecosystem and industry and, you know, and economy. And who knows how far you guys can go. So I'm very proud of you.
好了，朋友们，没有任何事情是容易的。黄仁勋说过，在前进的道路上，只有那些最坚韧、最专注的人才能成功。今天就到这里，谢谢大家，我们下期见。